I'm Jane.
I'm Jacob, and we also had Kevin in our group, but he went home from some family issues. Today, we're going to be talking to you about education versus military funding. As you see, the name of our project is going to be Bullets versus Books. I'd like just to soak that in for a second. Bullets versus books. I mean, it's a very high contrast against everything. As you see, there's a tree, and then the background is going to be a picture of a road leading to different possibilities. Because once you start fueling or water pan on the tree, you start opening up and you're starting to move forward.
Our hypothesis is if you were to change the difference in budgeting for defense rather than in favor for education, then our U.S. economy will change drastically. And the variables are, our independent variable would be both educational and defense budget, and the dependents are amount of funding in each area. Control variable is for the U.S. citizens. The spending led to the defense in the U.S. led the defense for a long time in the world for $640 billion in 2013, and then our runner-up is China with only $188 billion. Now, I know that the other group kind of explained what a billion was, but we had a good example of what a billion was. We all want to be like a millionaire or a billionaire, right? And we all want all this money, but looking at millions versus billions, if there was 100 people and everyone was a billionaire, that's only 1/10 of a billion, or a million, sorry. It's only 1/10 of a billion. We'd have to go bankrupt 10 times over just to become a billionaire.
So here's our graph. As I would like to point out, there's going to be a 4/5 of the total was actually spent by only 15 states. And nearly half of it was only spent by 2. And remind you, 37% for the U.S., which is right here. 37% of all spending federally for military defense was actually made mostly by the United States. There's also going to be a whole bunch of other countries, which is right here. If you take that and flip it, that equals the U.S. So this picture right here just shows how much the U.S. is spending against all different kinds of countries. All right, right here is our graph. As you see, there's all of these countries. There's 8 countries here compared to 1. $640 billion is being spent in military and defense budgeting compared to the $607 billion spent with all those combined together. That's not good. We're spending a lot of money inside of something that should not be spent. We could be spending all this money and putting some into education. That's our point of view from this. What I would like to point out is China. China is probably going to be the next runner-up for defense and military funding. The reason being is, with it being such a big population, they're not worried about the military though. They're more worried about education budgeting, because people from China are really smart, because they go from year-round. They go 365 days as opposed to us. We have 3 months off. This is another fiscal year for 2014, which was announced. As you see, we got education budgeting at 3%. The defense budgeting is 22%. Oh yeah, and I'd like to also add the pensions is 23%. That's people getting paid.
Alright, so during the 2015 fiscal year, the total amount that the government is projecting to spend is $3.9 trillion. The military budget is going to be around $874 billion, while the education is going to be $130.7 billion, which is 1/30 of the total budget compared to the 1/5, which is represented by the U.S. military budget. This is a difference of $743.3 billion.
Like you said, you got millions and billions of dollars, but you really got to realize that $1 billion is a lot of money. If we all had $1 billion, I don't know about you guys, but I was talking to Anthony a little earlier. If I had $1 billion, I don't know about you guys, but I would go to college. I would spend that money on college, paying off, helping my mom out. And then I'd still have some left over. So you guys got to make this personal. You guys got to realize that the people in the government are actually starting to affect everybody. Because if it wasn't for us as students, especially here at UBMS, just imagine how much more money can be put into the government instead of putting back into the education.
Alright, so some people addressed this problem to Congress, and their solution was on December 21st, 2013, the NEA supported the Bipartisan Budget Act of 2013. This was supposed to put billions of dollars into the education budget, but when the fiscal year 2015 budget was released on March 4th, 2014, the change was well under $100 billion, which was nowhere near the change that was hoped for. Alright, so 98,817 public schools can be located in the United States of America. And since the budget for the education is $130.7 billion, I calculated the amount of funding available for each school. Since secondary schools made up 32% of total public schools, the funding available was calculated to be $1,318,080 when it needs $1 billion. This means that it has an extra $318,000 available. While the elementary schools made up 68% of the total amount of public schools, so it only had $1,324,807, which is over $1 million less than it needs. Even if you took the $380,000 extra and transferred it over, you would be over $1 million less than you needed.
A bullet versus a book. So you got your price of the high school textbook, which is $90. You got your middle school textbook, which is $70. And this is elementary book, which is $40. Everybody remembers back in elementary school, you never did get your own individual book. The book remained in your desk. So, and then, like for kindergarten, for instance, you shared your desk. So that way you shared your book. A box of 9mm costs around $22 for 50 rounds. And then 223 is going to be, which is a military or a civilian also. For 1,000 rounds, it's going to be 357. And then a box of 20 rounds for a 7.62 by 51mm is going to be $21. Yeah, $21. The Iraq War, if we were to take the money that we spent in the Iraq War and turn it around and give it back to the states and give it to the education, we could have had 21,510,598 full year full ride scholarships. That's a lot of people that we get full ride scholarships. We could have saved over almost 8 million teachers, and then we could have had almost 60 million people go to Head Start, which is like a pre-K, like pre-kindergarten. We'd like to thank you guys. We got to start small to get to where we're going to be. So for you guys to actually listen to our presentation, it's going to be awesome. That maybe we can get something going. Maybe we can start small, but get big. We also had an interview with Lou Hellman. I'd like to bring this up because he's the director of entrepreneurship. You guys know.
Second floor Devlin.
Second floor Devlin.
Nice
Nice guy. But anyways, he gave a really good point to us that really affected me. Like, I really hit it deep with me. He said, our statistic was only a snapshot of a 300-year movie, and the movie is going to be continuing for a long time. that is amazing to me, because that means the way we are now doesn't have to always be. We can start making a change, because there's never a storyline behind, like, we got storyline here, but let's make a new one. Let's go and keep moving forward. We also got a reference list here. As you see, there's a lot of .orgs and .govs. I like to point that out. Once again, this is bullets versus a book. It's a road to new opportunities. At this point, we will only take like a couple questions because she kept holding up the stop sign at me. Results?
There was a lot of emotion in your presentation, which was good, but where's the science backing that more funding equals a better education? Right now, we have one of the world's highest budget for education. The U.S. ranks 30th for science and math. Where is the science saying if you improve or make more of a budget, you'll get a correlation with a better education?
I'm trying to process what you're saying because it's kind of hard to hear from up here.
I'll make it simple. If you throw more money into education, how can you guarantee that everyone will be educated?
All right, I can take that. All right, so since UBMS is a federally funded, right? We are all low-income students. So if we were to get scholarships for us low-income people that want to go high and shoot high for us, beyond the stars, could you imagine how much more education we could get? Especially since all of us are college bound, correct? Everybody here wants to go to college. They want to get a degree, right? So why not start small? Start with us. Give us a full ride. Don't make us pay. We don't want to go way down to the left. I'd like to thank everybody again. You guys are an awesome crowd.